All right, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Uh, wow, 671 people already here, and 8 thumbs down already. That is pretty impressive. That is a world record for me. I just
That's
started.
funny.
People are awesome. They never let you down. All right, guys. So tonight, it this is more, I would say, of a last minute interview, if you will, with Prepper Nurse One. A lot of you guys know who this is, so he really doesn't need any introduction. But talking to him via, what was it, text, right? We were talking text, and then over the
Yep.
phone, come to find out that he was restricted because of something he mentioned or talked about on his channel. So YouTube has been going into overdrive, canceling a lot of people. So I figured, why not? Let's play fuck games, and have him come on his channel and speak his piece. And I guess we won't dive into. Well, we'll dive into whatever he was talking about, but then we're gonna get back into prepping as well. So, uh, prepper nurse, you got the floor.
All right. Well, so what happened was Saturday, and some of you saw the video. I was almost at like 2,000 views when they took the video down. So a lot of you probably saw the video. And the title was Using Fear and Intimidation to Gain Control. Okay. And obviously, I was talking about the vax and what is going on and what they're doing in communities and really pushing that agenda. So I was talking about that in this video. And I've talked about this topic before. We've had live streams about it and had great discussions and shared information and people gave their advice and whatever and stuff like that. Uh, YouTube took the video down and they gave me a strike, which means I cannot post or live stream for a week. So I will be back, just so everybody knows, I'll be back live streaming on Sunday. I'll be able to post a video on Sunday, starting Sunday again. But the strike stays with you for 90 days. Now, if you get another strike within that 90-day period of time, then you're suspended for a 2-week period of time where you can't post for 2 weeks or live stream for 2 weeks. And then what they do after that, if you get a third strike in the 90-day period, they take your channel down. So it's a serious thing, but I didn't say anything that I normally wouldn't say. And what they did, their reasoning was, they said that I went against community guidelines, going against what doctors recommend and what the CDC recommends. So I contested it because you have that opportunity to contest it. And I basically said what happened to dissenting opinions and also what happened to freedom of speech. Now, I wanted to say a lot more, but I really refrained myself because at the time I was very, very angry. Um, it's their ball field, and if they take their ball and they go home, then nobody plays. So unfortunately, I have to suck this up. I have to deal with this week's suspension. And is it fair? Is it right? Nope, not at all. Not at all. But you know, uh, like I said, this is a huge infringement on freedom of speech. It absolutely goes against the First Amendment. Whatever happened to, like, somebody states their opinion and you disagree with your opinion or their opinion, and then all of a sudden you're canceled. That's what we're in now. We're in that cancel culture. So people that don't go along with what the system is saying, you're labeled as crazy, nuts, you're anti whatever, you're trying to cause trouble, you're doing fear porn or whatever, title they want to put on it, but they're in complete control. Now, I realize, first of all, that this was not an individual that did this is an algorithm. So what I'm going to suggest to everybody out there, and that's what I had said to Jason the other day, was be very, very careful what you're putting out there in your titles if you're doing YouTube, because if the algorithm catches it, they're going to bang it. And I've been on YouTube for a long time, and this is my first strike. And the strike, like I said, will come off in 90 days from now. But I have to be, when I come back, I have to be very, very careful what I talk about, how I talk about it. I will not be talking about the vax. If people ask me my opinion on it, basically what I'm going to tell people is do your research, do your own research, and also why would you want to get something that the company has no liability if something goes wrong with the product? I mean, would you buy a car? Okay, this is a good example, guys. You go out and you want to buy a brand new car, and the car company says, well, listen, if you buy this car, there's no warranty. So if you drive it off the lot and the engine falls out, it's your fault. It's not our fault. We can't do nothing about it. Would you buy that car? No, of course you wouldn't. So why would you want to get a product that there is no ramifications if something goes wrong with you? So that's what I'm going to suggest to people. And that's not going against anybody's anything, because that's a fact. There is no liability for Big Pharma in this situation.
You know what? It's interesting. First of all, Mountain Kayaker, thank you for the donation, and Irish Rebel, thank you for the donation. So somebody earlier just said, Mary, I forgot her last name, said that not all doctors agree with this vaccine, and I find it interesting that it's not even just that; it's anything else now. You seem to talk about if they don't like it, they're going to screw with you. If you talk about, I don't know, let's just say the new thing that just popped up just before we got on here, the gay ABCs. If you start talking about how you're against that and that's a stupid idea, you could possibly get silenced and kicked off of here. It's just it's too much. And the thing is, and we discussed this, and I was actually discussing this with TJ Preps as well. We content creators, whether you started 10 years ago, whether you started 2 months ago, we the content creators made YouTube and are making YouTube rich. People are coming on here to watch people like The Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, Will Smith, and all the way down to the bottom level. And I hate to say that, but the bottom levels of us preppers, and and people like to watch us, right? So now you have people visiting YouTube for various reasons, and yet we're the ones who made YouTube rich. We're the ones who keep them rich, and yet
we keep making them rich,
right?
Too.
And the audacity for them to tell us, like, you know what? Listen, I could see if they got rid of your shit because you said something like, who's creating the vaccine? The aliens, so that they can eat us later. If you were saying some shit like that, I could absolutely see them, all right, dude, that's crazy, off. But when you say shit that is factual or your opinion, and they kick you off, that's a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you look at right now with our cancel culture that we have. The latest victim is Pepe Le Pew.
Yes.
I grew up watching Pepe Le Pew, and it's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the Muppets are offensive. Dr. Seuss is offensive. Pepe Le Pew. You look at all these other things that they're like getting rid of, and it's like, in my opinion, what I'm witnessing is the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. I mean, this is history repeating itself. Any dissenting opinions that don't go along with the narrative, they're going to get rid of you. They're going to stomp you out, and they're going to get rid of you because they don't want you to have a platform to voice your opinion. And a lot of it, that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, and they do understand. I don't sit there and say, when I give you guys any information, I say, this is a fact, and this is my opinion. And I'll always be very, very clear what I share with people. This is a fact, and this is my opinion. So it's not like I'm coming on here saying, I know everything, and I'm completely right 100% of the time. And there's been a lot of times, a lot of you guys have called me on different things and said, hey, you were wrong about this or wrong about that. I come on the next video or the next live stream, and the first thing I'll say is, hey, I was wrong about this, and I just want to correct that, and I apologize. Because you know what? None of us are perfect. We get on here, we're trying to share information, we're trying to share our thoughts, we're trying to help people, we're trying to wake people up. And, I find it funny that I started this Prepper Underground Railroad, and right after that I get this strike. I think that's interesting as well, and I don't know if there's a correlation with that, because I'm trying to organize preppers and off-gridders. I don't know if that's part of what this whole thing is with them. I found that really, really interesting that happened right at that time.
You know what? What's interesting is that I have to add this in. Grim Survival came up with the same idea. So you two came up with the same ideas. Obviously, different areas, different time. And when I mean different time, his was like, I don't know, let's say a month or two ago. But interestingly enough, when he had introduced that idea, he had a video that received a strike, and it's a little interesting. You said the same shit, and you received a strike,
Yep.
and I mean, listen, I believe in coincidences as well, but this is too like on the nose, if you will.
Well, I talked with Grim Survival too about that. He started it like a month before I did, and I had no idea
Right,
that he had done it. I mean, so I had no idea that he had done it. But it's you know, what people don't understand as preppers and upgraders, we are in this upper echelon, if you will. Okay, we're the people that are ready for whatever's going to happen. And I've told people all for years, if we get organized and we get really squared away, there's a lot of power in that. Now and after SHTF happens, because it's really important to make those connections with like-minded people so that down the road you're not shooting at each other, that you're actually going to work together.
right,
And also, if there is, Grim Survival was one that had said this. We were talking, and he was talking about the situation that happened down in Texas with the storm and the power outage,
right.
and there's preppers down in that area. Well, if other preppers were within, that 100-mile radius, and they knew who these people were that needed some help, if they needed help, they would be able to jump in there and say, hey, here we come, we're coming to help you, we're bringing you whatever supplies you need in that type of situation. Be it gasoline or, propane or whatever the case may be that they needed. That's what this is about too. It's about helping now during natural disasters that we have every single year that happened. And then also when that post event happens, having made those connections, had made that networking type of situation, I'll tell you what, it's going to make a difference how many of us actually truly make it in a post event.
Well, yeah. You know what? I did a video today walking home, talking about a post event and the shit's the fan and what it would look like and how bad it would be and how like evil would take over if we do nothing. Well, not that we do nothing, but evil would take over, and there's things that we would have to deal with and see and stomach if we want to move forward. Meaning, we would have to, I would say, mentally prepare for the horrors that we would see during that. Because listen, a shit hits the fan scenario. We've watched it in other countries where law was out and warlords took over, and the nightmares that ensued with those people in power. And I'd like to I would like to think that in the prepper community, whether it's the outside community or the YouTube community, I'd love to think that there'd be some kind of cohesiveness with us, so that we are not at each other's throats, and we're actually supporting one another. Joanne and Soundwave, thank you for the donations.
But yeah, it's just, I think what people need to realize, you talk about the ugliness that would happen in a post event. Unfortunately, the animal that we ourselves would have to turn into, people need to be ready for that too.
Yeah.
To be able to do what you're going to need to do to survive. Like I said, where you are, being down in New York City, you couldn't give me a free apartment to be in New York City. I mean, you couldn't, because it's like that. Any city in the country, but it's just it's a really bad place to be, especially when things go south. Now, if you got a bit of a warning and you can get out of there and get to a safe haven, then great. You know what I mean? But if you don't, and it's like boom, and it goes out I honestly, my number one scenario that I tell people all the time, lights go out tomorrow and they don't come back on. Realistically, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to sit home, They're going to wait 3-4 days waiting for those lights to come back on because they think that they're going to come back on. So maybe the internet's down as well, obviously. No power, no internet, maybe your phone's not working. And, you know, people like you and other people that are preppers are going to realize what's going on.
Right.
Other people are going to sit around and wait. And by the time they realize that something really drastic is going on, it's too late. And so we're like, preppers are going to be like, it's time to get out of Dodge. It's time to get to our bug out location if we have one, or basically enact whatever safety protocols you're going to have if you're bugging in. And I think that's what people just, they don't have any clue. They have no clue.
Well, yeah, you're right. And I think, you're right. Something happens. Listen, a blackout last summer happened, and it was a small one. It was a localized, and it went down, and everybody was like downtown was like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, it's a blackout. Now, being that it was localized, I wasn't worried. I was like, okay, it's just like the downtown area. But should it started spreading, I thought it would have been time to leave. But I mean, well, I wouldn't say, the wife was, but we were definitely watching it to make sure it wasn't going to spread. Norman and Prep for It, thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. And listen, I think, how do you say this? What's coming, and I think what's coming is not as going to be as bad as like an end of the world. I think it's going to be, maybe it's going to be worse. I think just because who wants to be controlled, right? You see how they're controlling us now. You got smacked on the wrist. Actually, Indiana Prepper too. He got a strike on YouTube as well, guys. And I think that's why he hasn't been on here. And then he's also been working. I spoke to him a little earlier today. But anyway, guys, with that, they're controlling what we said because here's the problem. They're like, well, these dudes, they like their money. They like they're getting on there, and if it's not about the money, it's they like getting on there and spreading the word. Well, how do we hurt them? Well, we restrict them, and so now here we are, guys are taking, and listen, it's not just you. I mean, Epoch Times, their whole channel is demonetized, so they can keep pushing videos, but their whole channel's demonetized now. There's nothing they can fucking do, and that sucks. I think we are headed towards a controlling time, and I'm wondering when people are going to wake up.
Well, and the thing is too, it's like you look at now that the stimulus is passed, what's the next agenda? Okay, the next agenda, and they've talked about it, they've openly talked about it, gun control.
Yes.
And they're looking to absolutely restrict what you can do, make it so difficult to own guns, in the hoops that they want to make you jump through to be able to be a gun owner. They're going to make it so difficult and so expensive. Psychological evaluations for everybody in your house. So a good example for me on my end, I have a son with autism. Okay, that would automatically disqualify me from being able to have that because he's not mentally capable, according to whatever the standards would be, to be around that. So there's all kinds of ways that they're going to use to dismiss people, to restrict you what you can do, make it so expensive to buy ammunition. I mean, if anybody's been out there buying ammunition right now, it's like going through the roof as far as price if you can find it. And people talk about, this ammo shortage is going on right now. And I want people to realize what the reality of the ammo shortage is. It's not the manufacturers are not making the ammo. They're making the ammo, but the problem is, and I just talked to a gun store dealer the other day, and what they told me was this. They said they're backed up 8 months for back orders for ammunition. And I want you to think about why. Why is that the case? Last year, you had 8 million people were first-time gun owners in this country. Now think about that for a second, okay? So you got 8 million new people for the first time ever went out and got a weapon, okay? Well, they're buying ammunition so that they can shoot. And then everybody and their brother that already had some kind of, 22 shotgun, whatever they had, they're out there buying more ammunition. They see the handwriting on the wall, so they're stocking up. And that's why we have this shortage now, because everybody's going out there and they're buying whatever they can. So these, the gun stores and when you go to a gun show or whatever the case may be, the prices are absolutely ridiculous because people are paying whatever they're told to pay because they know how difficult it is to get it, and they want to get it now before it's either illegal or it's like so hard to get.
Jesus, it's funny. People talk about the ammo shortage, and I'm not a gun owner. Apparently, right? I live in New York City, this liberal hellhole, and you can own a firearm, but it's hard. When people talk about the shortage of ammo, like even I get worried, and I don't own a gun. I'm sitting here like, well, how bad is that going to get? Now you're saying 8 months. I'm like, that's pretty bad. I think there's a lot of concern. So now, I'm pretty sure, I think it was Angryprepper, Pinball Preparedness, and TJ Preps did a video on shortages on everything. Now, Pinball, he's breaking it into different episodes of things that are being shorted on. TJ Preps did a full video on everything that's being that's coming to a shortage because of COVID, which COVID is sort of ending because everyone's getting the vaccine. So if everything is supposedly getting back to normal, why is there such a shortage? And then they explain it, and I'm like, that still to me doesn't make sense because you were pushing people through back to work. You were opening businesses so that they can get back to work and continue to deliver us food, deliver us power, deliver us milk, drugs. So they noticed that there was a writing on the wall, but now we're running into this major shortage. They're running into a major shortage of microchips for computers. I thought that was interesting.
Well, you figure too, you look at the number of stuff that we get from overseas. I mean, it's ridiculous amount of products that we rely on, especially from who? From China.
Right.
That's who we rely on a lot of our stuff from. And so, with everything that's gone on, and they were talking about, and I saw this article. There was ships waiting out in the ocean, waiting to come in to unload, and they couldn't even unload because there was issues with unloading and all this type of stuff. I want people to think about this really quickly. Anybody's out on a highway anytime, any kind of major thoroughfare or whatever the case may be, how many truckers do you see out there? Constantly, no matter what time of day or night, they're out there riding. If it ever comes to a point where those truckers' wheels are not turning, you're talking 3 days. 3 days, and it would be total anarchy in this country. Because if those truckers stop delivering those products, whatever they are, food, medical supplies, components for whatever you need to have for your stuff that you have, any of those things stop coming, we're in big, big trouble. And people need to think about that. So here's a good example of that. And that it's happened in the past. It will definitely happen in the future. The fault line that runs right straight through St. Louis, right? The New Madrid fault line, I think it's called. Is
Yes.
that what they're... Okay.
Yeah.
So 1800s, that went off. If that went off now, that would disrupt distribution of food, medical supplies, all that for a great period of time. The Mississippi River actually flowed backwards, they said, after that happened, after that earthquake for a little while. So think about how powerful an earthquake that was. And what have we done? We've built cities all along that whole area, crossing the Mississippi River, delivering goods back and forth all the time.
Right.
That would be a huge, huge problem. And it's not like, oh, that'll never happen again. It's going to happen again. It's just a matter of when.
Jeez. All right, let me rattle this list off. Northwoods, thank you for being a member. Wolf Mule, Dusty Data, Deborah Dew, and Teachers Renee, thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. Listen, I think that's why a lot of the prepper channels are preaching keep prepping, keep stacking it to the top, stack it to the rafters, stack it to the ceilings, because I mean, listen, 2021 it started off pretty pretty fast and hard, if you ask me. I mean, it's insane where we are right now, and we've already had look like 2, 3 major things happen, and we still have, I don't know, another 9 months to go, right? I think the supply and shortage of supplies, it's going to be a lot worse than
Down.
originally expected. I thought it was going to get better. We were going to get time, and then, we can continue to prep. But people are saying the prices of meat is going
Dude, you got
up.
to give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. My dog's going nuts. I got to take her out.
Gotcha.
I'll be right back.
Not a problem.
Come on, go. Come on.
Oh.
Quick. Come on, Ella. Come on. Ella, come on.
Well, Grumpy Gonzalez. I mean, I wouldn't say we're fucked. I would say we need to just be easy, not overshoot, not speculate about everything. Just keep getting ready. I mean, listen, I think there's going to be a power shift like we've never seen in the next coming months, only because of Biden. Only because we are watching Biden decline. And it's actually scary to watch him decline,
All right, I'm back.
Very good. So
Mother Nature, the dogs don't care if we're live streaming. If they gotta go, they gotta go.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, you're right. I was just talking about Biden and how we're going to see a power shift like we've never seen in this country. I would say probably by this year, just because of his mental decline. I'm actually nervous for it because the people who are behind him, the people who come up next to bat, I think they're going to finish this country because we're seeing it now.
I made a prediction earlier this year. I actually have a bet with a really good friend of mine about this. And I said that within 1 year, and this was the game plan all along, all Biden was a little figurehead they pushed out front.
Right.
Within 1 year so by January of next year, Harris will be president. That's my prediction. And I can't say exactly how fast they're going to do it, but his mental decline is obviously very apparent. He is going to be medically retired as president or removed somehow, or something is going to happen. We're talking about somebody that has already had 2 aneurysms, and I think a lot of people don't even realize that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but he's already had 2 aneurysms, and he's not a young man.
Right.
So you're definitely going to see, and that's, again, this is strictly my opinion. Within 1 year, so by January of next year, Harris will be president. At some point between now and then is my thought, because that's the agenda. They want her leading the way with whatever we go. Their game plan is moving forward. You talked about stacking it high and being ready. There's a very, very thin veil between civilization and anarchy. I'm sure you've heard the thing of we're 9 meals away from anarchy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but it's so true, and people just really do not realize that. And so the more that we can be prepared to help ourselves, to help others, because I think that's a big part of why we're the ones that are awake, is because it's not our obligation, but I think it's important to be in a position to be able to help if you can, and especially kids, because kids are innocent. So what's going to happen in a post-event? I want you guys to think about this for a second. In a post-event, everything goes right down the toilet. When there is no rule of law, think about, okay, let me put it like this real quick. Look at how we treat each other now with rule of law.
Right.
Okay? Now you throw rule of law out the window, and there's no consequences for your actions. There's a lot of people that just obey the rules because they don't want to go to prison. Well, if there's no consequences for their actions, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Rape, burn, pillage, kill whoever they don't like, whatever the case may be. So you, as trying to be a civilized person and trying to be a decent person, you got to be ready to hit back just as hard when those type of people come around. You got to make it so expensive in cost of life or whatever if they come to try to hurt you and yours, that they don't want to come back. They're going to look for easier, softer targets, okay?
Right.
That's why groups are so important. But as we continue to prep and get ready, there's going to be a lot of orphans out there. And I want people to think about this, okay? There's going to be a tremendous amount of orphans because their parents are either going to OD, die of lead poisoning, or whatever the case may be. Or suicide. There'll be a lot of people that will choose that option as opposed to living in a post-apocalyptic world, okay? There's going to be a tremendous amount of orphans out there that need guidance, that need somebody to be role models, to emulate, to take care of them because they're not capable of taking care of themselves. And what people, I think, don't get, that's the future. Those kids are the future. So do you want little roving gangs? Hell, leave that cat alone. Sorry.
Sorry.
Do you want roving gangs of kids going out there and doing whatever they want? Or would you rather, take in the younger ones, raise them up? They're going to be loyal. They're going to be helpful. They're going to, that's what we got to think about because there's going to be a lot of orphans.
It's interesting. When you were explaining about the chaos, the rape, the pillaging, I was thinking to myself, sounds like New York City. That's pretty much where we're at right now. The crime is out of control. It's going unchecked. People are robbing old women, pulling women into the alleyway and raping them. And it's almost as if the mayor said, you know what, you guys are not going to be held accountable, but we're going to hold the cops accountable for everything they do. But if you do anything, we're going to blame that on your childhood, the fact that you were raised in a bad neighborhood, your daddy left you, your mother hates you, and we're going to put that all on that, and we'll give you the God bless to, do what you want to do, but, we'll put you in jail for a little while, and then we'll make it better, and then we'll release you again. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this guy comes in the office, and it's the Wild West. People are shitting in the streets. The garbage is not being picked up. Listen, for those of you that weren't on my last live stream or 2 live streams ago, the wife was walking a dog, and she happens to see 2 people having sex in broad daylight in the open. So it wasn't like they were hiding behind a tree. It wasn't like they were behind a park bench. They were out in the open. And I'm like, this is getting bad. This is getting pretty worse. Pretty worse. This is already worse. And I've never seen anything like this fall apart. I was here in the 80s, but I was a kid. And we had the crack epidemic here. And then we had fires left and right. And that was pretty bad. But I think this, because it's going to go unchecked, it's going to get a whole hell of a lot worse.
Well, they have the whole catch and release model right now.
Yes.
With criminals. So criminals go, okay, so my court date is down the road here. Who cares? There was somebody, I think I was out in California, that was arrested like 3 times for grand theft auto in like a week, and he kept getting released.
Yes.
So it's just like, how insane is that? So it's like, if I'm a criminal, and here's the thing too, and I want to bring this up a second as well, and it was an article that I had read that you can't make it up. It's just the insanity of people. It's unreal. And so it's like, this article that I read stated that if somebody breaks into your home, you should try to get away and let them take what they want.
Right.
And if you can't get away, just be passive and don't cause any problems and just let them do whatever they're going to do. I'm going to tell you right now, this is my stance. You break into my home, you better realize you're never leaving. Okay? Because it's like, if you come here with bad intentions, and this is how it should be everywhere. If you come to somebody's homes with bad intentions, you're going to get bad intentions back. Because you don't know what their thought process is, why they're there. So what, I'm going to let somebody come into my home and rape my daughter and do nothing about it? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, okay? Maybe if I'm a corpse on the ground, that's going to happen, but not before then. And but it's this thinking of these people that they say that, yeah, just let them do what they want to do. No. If you have consequences for your actions, that is the deterrent, okay? When this society that is out there now that is insane, in my opinion, They just, let them take what they want, let them do what they want, don't cause any problems. That's insanity. When you have countries like Australia, the UK, now in Canada, they're doing it up in Canada. They're disarming the citizenry so they cannot defend themselves. So who's going to have all the guns? The cops and the criminals. Because guess what? Criminals do not care about gun laws. They never have and they never will. Look at Chicago, the strictest gun laws in the entire country, and the highest crime rate out there. The capital, I think it's one of the highest murder rates in the country, and they're all using guns. But guns are illegal. It's insane. It is, and you have a whole generation of young men and women killing each other for nothing. For nothing.
Well, it's funny. First of all, nose picking. Thank you for the donation. Also, for those of you that are watching, do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up. However you choose to do it, do it. It does great for the algorithm. It helps the channel. It helps my, the videos out. And for any other YouTuber channel you're on, do me a favor. Always hit the thumbs up as soon as you go on it. Again, it always helps out with the channel. Listen, the lack of accountability is, like you said, it's alarming. I just don't get it. I don't understand how now, and I hate to make this about race, but now, like in the black community, or the Spanish community, if you do something, they like to look back in your past and see what caused you to do that, to get you out of trouble, if that makes sense. And I'm like, that has no fucking bearing. I mean, really, listen, I know plenty of dudes who lived a shitty life as a kid in these black and Spanish neighborhoods. You know what they did? They fucking got out. They made their life right and they got out. Guys who had hiccups in their lives, who either were drug dealing, stealing cars, robbing people, even they said enough's enough. They changed their life around and they left. And somehow now we're trying to make everything a reason. Well, you know what? He robbed that old lady and punched her in the face for $65 because his daddy didn't love him. So you know what? Let's forgive him for that, and let's give him 2 months in prison. What happens? His 2 months are up because he's going to behave. Guess what he does? He goes out and he does it again. Right. And it's the victim mentality. Thank you for Bootlicker, ex-Bootlicker. Thank you for bringing that up. The victim mentality is now everyone. Everyone's a fucking victim now. Everybody wants to be a victim. I mean, it's enough. Case in point, there was an incident here in New York City with the fire department, and I'm only speaking about it from the angle of the article. So in the fire department, apparently a chick comes over to the firehouse. She wants to take pictures with the guys. They go fine. She gets undressed and she takes a picture in like a bra, scantily clad, if you will, and she takes a picture, around the firehouse. So then the job gets wind of it and the job drops the hammer, right? So now the job drops the hammer on the guys. Then the girl comes out with a video saying how she didn't know that was going to happen, and that one of the guys, was asking her to take it down, and now she was making it about herself and making herself the victim, right? So she went in there and asked to take pictures, and now all of a sudden she's the victim. I'm like, and now of course, the liberal idiot media are probably going to jump on her side because she made a rebuttal video, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, listen, what happened in the firehouse? My own opinion, it was a model taking pictures. It's not the end of the world, right? But let the media get a hold of it, and now let this chick come out with a rebuttal video. Now she's demonizing the men for fucking something she asked to do. Meanwhile, nobody touched her or did anything to her. They just took pictures of her.
Right. Now, you were talking earlier, and I wanted to bring this up. I'm a great example. I've told people, I've always been very honest on my channel, told people, about my past and stuff like that. I give them little bits, not everything, but I always tell people I was the kid you didn't want your kids hanging out with when I was growing up. I was a bad kid. I made a lot of stupid decisions. There was a lot behind why I did what I did, but, you get to a point and you have to, we always get, I like to call them forks in a road.
Right.
We get to a fork in a road, and if you travel down this path, it's going to take you a certain direction in your life, and if you travel down this path, it's going to be a different direction. I always tell people I pulled my head out of my behind when I was 27 years old. At 27, I looked at myself and I said, I don't like what I see. And the drugs and the heavy drinking and all that type of stuff was not where I wanted to be. So I made changes in my life, and it was my choice. Nobody forced me to do it. It wasn't any kind of court or anything like that. You have to want to make that change as an individual. And so when you get to that point and you've had enough, you make those changes. And I'm going to tell you what, it's amazing how awesome your life can be and how positive it can be when you change your perspective, when you change your mindset. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. What I always tell people this, here's today, okay? Here's today. This is the past. You know what you can do about the past? Absolutely nothing, because it's dead and gone.
Right.
From this point forward, you are the captain of your own destiny. You're the captain of that ship. You can go in any direction you want to go in. If you want to continue to play the victim, that's what you're going to be doing your whole life, blaming everybody else's for your own inadequacies, your own failures. It's always somebody else's fault, no personal responsibility. But at the end of the day, you look in the mirror, and that's why I always say at the end of my videos, the only person in life that can hold you back is you. That's it, nobody else. You know what? Not all of us had great raising up, and we didn't have mom and dad in the picture and the white picket fence, and we didn't have everything wonderful. A lot of us went hungry. A lot of us dealt with a lot of stupid stuff. And, it happens. A lot of us got our butts beat by stepfathers. It happens, okay? You have a choice to change those patterns or to keep going in that same direction. And, it's an individual choice. And, it takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of strong will on an individual's part to say, hey, let me look in that mirror. Do I like what I see or do I not like what I see? And whose fault is it, realistically, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
It's not because mommy didn't hold me enough when I was 5 years old, okay? That's not the reason. It's my own fault for whatever I do and whatever actions I take. It's just like getting this strike on YouTube. It sucks. It's no fun. I don't like it. And I was pissed off at first, but guess what? There's nothing I can do about it. So if I come back on my channel and go on some rant or tirade talking about how YouTube's a bunch of Nazis and it's, hey, you know what? I made the decision to talk about the vaccine, go against the grain. Absolutely I did, okay? Now, is my view on that going to change? Absolutely not. But I'm going to be real careful moving forward because, they hold the keys. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Well, glad you said that, because it is why I split my channel, right? So the first of all, enough people, not enough, maybe like 5 people were like, you know what, I came here for prepping and you're talking about political. I'm like, all right, you know what? They gave me the idea to split the channel. So now, if the Angry Truth gets, let's say, deleted completely because YouTube had enough of it, what I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to keep pushing the envelope and just create another channel and keep moving forward. I think that would piss them off more than anything. And maybe if we all did that, if we all created a second channel, a backup channel, so they canceled you here, you had something else to fall back on, it doesn't stop the
message from going out.
Exactly. And that's the problem. They're stopping the message. Now, there's a question from Angryprepper. I don't know if it's a chick or a dude. I'm going to think it's a dude. But the question was, when is Ed's next live stream?
I will be back on Sunday. So I will be live streaming Sunday night, 8 o'clock, the normal time. Hopefully I'll be able to get a video up earlier on Sunday because I don't know exactly what time I can start live streaming again and doing videos. But I'm pretty sure it's like, once I get through Saturday, that's the 7 days, and I think then Sunday I'll be able to do what I want again.
Now, this is a question from Carol Tigger. She's asking me how many eggs today.
Oh, today 6 eggs today.
6 eggs. Okay.
6 eggs. Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
I know people get a kick out of that. Eric, thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. And that was my question to you about the strike. You're not sure if it's like to the hour, right? So like if, let's say, last Saturday noon they gave you they gave you the strike and they suspend you. Does it go back to uh, Saturday noon and then it's lifted?
That's a good question. What I have right now, when I look today, I had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, so it is. I don't know if they count that Saturday or not. What I looked at today, it said I still have 3 more days. So I figure, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So those will be the 3 days. Then by Sunday, I'm thinking I should be clear and I can go ahead and start posting again and start live streaming again, which I obviously will be doing. I wanted to let everybody know I did take a couple of days when this happened, and I sat there and I was kind of like, oh my God. Because, they hurt you where it hurts the most, which is in your pocketbook. That's where they hurt you the most. And so, that part of it sucks. But like I said, again, there's nothing I can do about that. And it is what it is. But, I did do a video today that, you're going to see when that goes up, and it's going to say, hey, today's Wednesday, the 10th, So I'm not going to do a ton of videos ahead of time. I'm just going to start, I got some other stuff going on. What I'm going to encourage people to do too, definitely check me out on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to start posting pictures. I probably, when I'm done with this stream, I'm going to post a picture on both. So you'll kind of get an idea of what's going on. There's a new addition today, and people are going to be like, oh my God, really? But there was a new edition today that I did, and and I'm going to share that stuff. But I'll be back, guys. It sucks. I miss everybody. I miss doing the live streams. We have such a big family, and it's so awesome, and I really do enjoy it. So, and I've been doing it for so long. It's such a huge part of my life. Even when I go on vacation, I still live stream. I still make videos. So it's to not be able to make videos and to be able to live stream, it's weird. It's weird because it's such a huge part of my life. And but I'll be back. And like I said, I just have to be a lot more careful is what I'm going to need to be doing from moving forward.
So somebody said, Marine, I forgot his last name, but Marine like 164. He said that your channel's family friendly. And yes, guys, his channel is the opposite of mine. So my cursing and carrying on is not his channel. His channel, your kids can listen to him. It's a great channel. My channel is more of and I hate to be so brash. No, I don't hate to be so brash. Fuck it. I think my channel is more of the fuck your feelings channel. Sometimes you just gotta hear shit as it is. And this isn't my opinion, guys. This is not the world's opinion. This is not the prepper community opinion. This is my opinion. And a lot of people have been complaining. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's a little weird, but they've been complaining about the cursing. And I guess these are new people. They come on my channel like, man, you curse too much. I'm like, okay, it's an adult channel. I have it labeled as such. But listen, you want a nice night of no cursing? Prepper Nurse 1, when he does his live stream, it's a very family friendly. You guys can sit there and listen to him. You want the kids out of the room when I go live or any of my videos. A lot of my videos I don't curse in is gear reviews and stuff like that. If I'm out camping and stuff, I'm not cursing. Clearly, there's no need to. But when I'm here or live streaming, it flies off. Cursing rolls off the tongue for me. It's like cleansing the soul. But that's a different story. Other than that, guys, Prepper Nurse 1, and listen, I want to say this is to every creator that's watching this right now, whoever the hell's watching this, and I see a lot of you guys on here. Do yourself a favor and come up with a backup plan. If you are as fast and loose as I am, and even Ed here, you got to have a backup plan in case they demonetize your videos, or they demonetize your channel, or they give you a strike and you're off for a week or two. You have to come up with a backup plan. You got to pivot, because shit happens. And this was a great example of shit happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've thought about that myself, and I'm like, you know what? I need to have that backup channel in just in case, because you never know. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I got 11 years of content on my channel, and back from the very beginning when we bought this property to the old property that I had before that, the videos that I had when I first got going. I didn't post every day. I really got into posting on a regular basis once we moved up to the homestead, but you guys have shared everything. Like when I didn't post for 4 months, and then I came on, and I was like, well, you haven't seen me, and here's the reason why, because my wife at the time had left, and I was going through a divorce, and I didn't feel like posting videos. You're not really in that mindset at that point, but so all those videos are there, and if YouTube decided to take my channel down, that's all gone. It's all gone. And I think about that, and there's a lot of history of, my kids growing up and being up here when we had, just the shop was up here. We didn't have nothing else up here. When I remember the first time, if you guys want to go back and look at the old videos, you would see this. We had come up here, it was me, Mom, and the kids. And we put up a tent. And I put another tarp over the top of the tent. It said 10% chance of rain. I'm like, Mom's like, are you really going to put the tarp up? I'm like, yeah, just because you just don't know. It poured that night. I'm talking a torrential downpour where we had water that deep in the bottom of the tent. It was crazy. The first time Bill came up and cleared out some land for us and did that type of stuff. So, all that history is there. We shared it, and it was cool. And I like to go back once in a while and look at those old videos and realize, when you see my property now, if somebody's brand new onto my channel and they see my setup and they go, oh, that's pretty cool. But they don't realize the work that's gone into this over years of preparation and doing things and getting stuff set up. And what they don't realize too, a lot of times I've had help along the way, right? So I had an electrician come in, a certified electrician come in and wire my house. Why? Because I wanted to make sure it was always going to be passed by code. I had a plumber come in and do the plumbing work. Why? Because I wanted it done right, and I wanted an expert to do it. So, like with my solar system, we set up our first early solar systems. My cousin and I did that. We did it all ourselves. I ended up getting a guy who's an electrician in my group. You guys have seen him on video. His name is Brian. Squared away guy. Why would I not utilize an electrician to help me get things set up if I have him in my group? It doesn't make sense. And people, well, you have people help you. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about that community and family, and with doing the raised beds. We did the raised beds. Greg and I built the woodshed. We built the battery room. We did it together. Greg is a certified carpenter. He was a union carpenter for years and years. Why would I not say, hey, Greg, this is what we need to do. You tell us what we need to do, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'm going to go by his lead because he knows what he's doing. I'm not a carpenter. I'm a freaking nurse. That's what I do. I take care of people,
Right.
He's had issues up there where they call me up and they'll say, hey, Ed, could you come up here? Greg did this or Chris did that. And I'm going up there right away. That's my expertise, okay? If you have somebody that is that skill level to do something, that's who you're going to hire to do it. It's just a smart thing to do. And, you work hard, you put that effort in, and it all comes together. It just takes time. But, for me, this has just been, I tell people all the time, I'm blessed. I'm absolutely blessed. I get to live my dream. This was a dream that I had. If you go back and watch my old videos, and it's funny too, because I'll watch it once in a while, and I talk about my vision of what I wanted to do, and living off grid and doing that and being as self-sustaining as I possibly could be. Once you're actually jumping with both feet, it's tough. It's not easy. But because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But if you want to live this lifestyle, I absolutely encourage you to do it. It's a much simpler way of living. It's a better life. It's very rewarding. It's a physically challenging, and those type of things. And it's a cool part of it as well. And it keeps you in good shape. because you're always busy. I mean, I get up every morning, and I have a routine that I do with my animals. I got to take care of all my animals, and the dogs, the cats, the chickens, all that type of stuff. Wintertime, I bring in wood for Mom and Beck. I make sure I have enough wood. I mean, those are all daily things that you have to do. That normally, if you're living someplace that everything's there, you don't have to think about it. But I like it because if the lights went off tomorrow, the only difference that's going to change in my life is the fact that I wouldn't be on the internet or be able to use my cell phone. Other than that, my life really wouldn't change. So,
that's pretty cool, man. Like I'd like to have a homestead and something that I can, build, just because it keeps you busy. It's a great way of living, like you said, and it's funny for every homesteader and prepper turn homesteader. Sorry, you guys say the same exact things. You guys are like, well, you know what? I have this place. It's mine. I'm self sufficient. I can do this. I don't have to worry about this guy, that guy. And I'm like, and here I am stuck in my little fucking box in this shit apartment, worried about the neighbors upstairs, being assholes, the fucking neighbors downstairs being assholes, and you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal with that shit at all, right? And then to boot, then I got to go outside. I got to deal with fucking assholes selling drugs on the street corner. I got to fucking deal with assholes stealing packages every day of the week here in the building, and yet you don't have to deal with that. And it's clear what I need to do, and what people like me need to do. I need to get the fuck out of the city, man. Whatever. Native and Devout, thank you for the donation. Bubblegum and Jerry, thank you for the donation. Guys, we appreciate it. Native, do me a favor. I'm pretty sure you emailed me before, but please email me again at angryprepper@gmail.com. I'd like to talk to you about something for next week or the week after next. Let's see. Have you considered, someone's asking me, have I considered a piece of land close by, like a bug out location? Yes, I have. I have looked into something it's close by, 3 hours away. And yeah, listen, you want to get away from the city, and you want to get away. But,
yes, you do.
Right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you don't want to, be 3 hours away from the city, and then you're next to like another city, because whatever. Yes, I have. I've been entertaining it. I'm taking it more seriously, but once my debt is squared away, that's why I've been at work so much lately. Once it's squared away, I can start taking it to the next level. Looking at land and seeing what we can do as far as getting out of here. Now, as far bug out land is completely different from us moving. My bug out land or homestead, if you will, that's going to be like the backup spot. And as far as moving go, I have to appease the wife. We have to move somewhere nice. I can't do what you did with her because she'll be like, no,
Well, that's why I'm divorced.
Okay. She didn't like it, huh?
Yeah, she wasn't that. Well, she told me she was, but there was a long story with that. But she bailed once she realized that it was going to happen.
Oh, really?
And then we still stayed in the house 3.5 years before we moved up here. So after she had left, because she left when the kids were 10, and then we moved up here when the kids were 13, and it's a huge adjustment. I'm going to tell you, you talk about dealing with the neighbors upstairs, dealing with the neighbors downstairs. My mom and sister, and this is one of the things I want to tell people, and this really makes a lot of sense if you really think about it. They were paying $750 a month rent for this apartment that they were in, and they were in that apartment for I think 4 years. Okay, always dealing with the neighbors, noise, people being disrespectful, like you said, the drugs outside and the dealing and just the insanity of what's going on in a daily thing. And I kept telling my sister, get a building, come out to my property, put a building on my property. Within 3 years, you can have that building paid off, and it's yours, and you don't owe nobody nothing on it. I have to amend my will, because what I'm going to have in my will is my everything that I own goes to my children. So what I'm going to have the amendment is, as long as Mom and Becky are alive, if I go first, they have lifelong use here. They would have to pay the taxes, but she would not be allowed to sell the property until after they passed away. then it would be, then they could do whatever they wanted to do with it. But I don't plan on going anywhere for a long time, so that's kind of my thing. But again, so they've moved out here now. They moved out here full time in September of last year.
Okay.
And my sister was like the other day, she's like, Ed, man, I've already made this many payments on the building. So she's looking at that. She can see the end in sight now. In less than 3 years, she'll have that building paid for, and then there's no more payments. And then every month, that money that she was putting out for that payment for that building goes into her pocket. Well, when you live in an apartment, that never happens.
No.
And then if you don't pay your rent, you're out. I mean, right now you're not, but I mean, with everything else, it's like they're going to get rid of you. And so, to me, and the biggest thing, and they talk about this too, they're like, it's so peaceful here, it's so quiet. Peace of mind is so huge that I don't think people think about that. But I'll tell you what, I'll walk out here at night, and like tonight, when I was out here a moment ago, when I took the dog out to go to the bathroom, the stars are out. It's a clear night, and you can see not a couple hundred stars. You see millions of stars. And it is so beautiful, and that natural beauty and the quiet and the just, the sounds of nature. I'm going to tell you what, there's nothing like that. And it's like, I don't have to worry about neighbors making too much noise because they're not that close. And that's a great thing too.
It's again, when I go up to my buddy's land, which I'm going up to this week, Saturday, we're doing a bit of a treasure hunt kind of deal, prepper treasure hunt, if you will. And anytime I go up to his land, I go out to like the back portion of his land, and it's just insane. The quietness is awesome. I mean, like when I first went camping by myself, I had to admit it was an unnerving event. Like you're out there by yourself. You're thinking of every horror movie you ever watched that started in the forest, and then you hear things that you're not used to. And then I remember the moment, whatever it was made a sound. It sounded like it was coughing. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, and then reality set in. I'm like, yo, it's an animal, like, choking or coughing or whatever it is. And then it was coughing, but it was moving away from me. And I was like, yo, knock it off, man. This shit isn't, and then that was it. I settled in, and I like going out there on my own now, listening. But, for the first timer, it's an unnerving event. Colorado Biker Prepper. Do me a favor, email me at, angryprepper@gmail.com, and then I will pass the message along to Ed. All right? I don't want to, say anything on here, and, damn it. Fucking, this chat, man, is like super fast today. It's like so many people on here. All right, guys, so...
How many people in the chat?
Well, 1859.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's it was up to 2,000 at the peak, but it was just it's funny when there's that many people, like chatting.
The chat goes by fast. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm used to a couple hundred, 200. So it's easier to see people, but then you pause on one and then you scroll up and it's fucking 1,000 more comments. So I missed a lot. So guys, if there are any questions, do me a favor, please re-ask it, especially if it's for Prepper Nurse One or Ed, if you will. Ask a question to him, not to me. Tonight is his night. Also, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated, as always. All right, Colorado Prepper. Colorado Biker Prepper will be emailing you directly.
Okay.
Ed,
all right.
So there's that. What was this? So Play Safe said, what was the strike for? Play It Safe or Play Safe. You can go back to the beginning of this, and you can watch that. You can watch it from there. He tells you what it was. It was basically talking about COVID and the vaccine and how they weren't having it. YouTube, man. YouTube censorship. It's only going to get worse.
Absolutely.
Amarna, I'm pretty sure I'm wrecking that name, asks, can you back up your YouTube videos? Yes, you can.
Yeah, I can. I'm gonna need to, because it's like, this was to be honest with you, this was a huge wake up call for me.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna get like zip drives, and I'm gonna start downloading all my old videos and just put them on a drive so that I have them, because I got, I think, 3,100 videos out there.
That's
Yep, there you go.
that's something like this. And
Yeah.
if someone gives you shit, you can throw it at them and probably kill them with this thing. But this is the way to go for backing up all your videos.
Yep. So it's definitely something that I have to really jump on, because, there's a lot that, through the years. I mean, you were talking, years and years and years of videos. And so I don't want to lose that, especially everything that we've done here. What I think, one of the things, and I mentioned this a long time ago, and I just want to put it up here again too. I said part of the reason why I got into doing YouTube in the first place, so that when Heather has her children, and maybe 20 years from now, I'm gone, and they can go back, and they can, or even if I was still alive, I'd be 75 years old 20 years from now. So if they go, they could say, see, there's Grandpa sitting over there, and they're like, yeah, well, let me show you what Grandpa looked like before, and let me show you what Grandpa did. And they could go back and they could look and see that chronicle of those years of history of what we did here and how we lived and how we, and I just think that is a really cool thing, because, I would love to have looked at videos of my grandfather looking back. I mean, my grandfather died in 1992. And, I would have loved to have gone back and seen my grandfather as a young man, and see his history and see what he went through. But obviously they didn't have that back then. But I think that would be a really cool thing. And this is a way that my kids and their kids down the road can go back and say, hey, look at, there's Grandpa Ed from way back when, and that's, this was his journey. And they could look at that and they could say, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Hopefully they don't say, man, he was a crazy old coot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you hope.
But it's been so much fun, and that was part of why I wanted to do this too. And then it just has turned into this a lot bigger thing, and it's just, like I said, I can't even begin to tell you how blessed I've been. I have met, like, I met you, I've met a whole bunch of other people. Met a bunch of people in person. We did the Prepper get together 2 years ago. Hopefully going to be able to do that this year. And Jason, you better come if I do that. Bring the wife and kids.
Roger that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But it's such a brotherhood and sisterhood, because we're a big family, and that's what I think. That's what scares people, because we really are a family. We all are like-minded. We all think alike. We have that same drive and that same determination, and we have that will to want to make sure that our kids are okay and stuff like that. And I think that's really important.
Nice, man. Nice. Someone's asking, I guess it's Zaidi Act Man. He's asking, can you use your website to post videos and updates for us?
Yes, I can. My IT guy does all my stuff for my website, so I'm not technical in that aspect. So the video, what I do plan on doing, the video that got me a week suspension off of YouTube, I still have that video. I did not delete that video off my laptop, so I got to get that to him. He's going to put that up on the channel, and that way you guys can all go, over there to preppernurse1.com. Because it's my own website, they can't take it off. They can't, kick me off of there. It's my own website. Right. So I will post that video over there. I just have to talk with him again and get that set up. So I'm hoping that within the next couple of days that video will be up. And you guys can watch it for yourselves. And you can say, if you thought, oh, well, absolutely justified why Prepper Nurse 1 got a strike, or to think that was total BS, because in my opinion it was total BS. But again, it's a game. That's what people, a lot of times, what they don't understand, and it's like, life itself is a big game. And I know a lot of people get pissed off when I say that, but it's true, because it's a game, and once you realize it's a game and you learn how to play the game, you're going to be better off. Now, I do have a tendency, I have to admit, I buck the system. Always have, probably always will. I don't think I'm going to change after all this time. I'll push that envelope as hard as I can. Obviously, this time I got spanked, and so I just have to be more careful moving forward. So obviously, you know, I'm going to be more careful in my wording for when I upload videos so that I don't have any issues in the future. So that's just how we're going to deal with that.
Very good. By the way, can you see the chat? Can you see the live chat?
No.
No? Me being cheap, I haven't heard from her in a while. She said, Ed, I'm tired of nursing. I guess she's a nurse too.
I'm going to tell you what, I have been retired from nursing. Now, I still have my nursing license. I actually just renewed it.
Okay.
February was 3 years since I've worked as a nurse. I do strictly YouTube full time, work at my homestead and do that. I have been a nurse 27, 28 years, something like that now. I can't remember exactly what the number is.
Wow.
I was a CNA for 5 years before that. I understand and I feel your pain. With what is going on now and the restrictions and the, protocols that are going on in nursing, it's got to be a nightmare now. Nursing is a very, very difficult, very thankless job, number one, and number two, to begin with. Management, and I've said this many, many times, and I will always say this, management don't care about staff. And I don't care what job that is, management will always take it and break it off in your behind if you're just a regular working staff, okay? They don't care. And so in nursing, a lot of people get into nursing for the right reasons because we want to take care, we're nurturers, we take care of people, we want to help people. That's why we get into nursing. When I got into nursing, a lot of old school nurses, man, they didn't like me at all because I was a straight white male. If you were gay, you were great, they loved you, you were one of the girls. But if you were a heterosexual alpha male, man, they couldn't stand that. They don't like that at all. But now it's changed, obviously, over the course of time, and there's a lot more men in nursing now. And a lot of the girls loved the fact that, there was male nurses there. And I'll tell you a quick story, which was really funny. I had somebody one time, we were talking, and he goes, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I'm a nurse." And, and he goes, "Oh, are you gay?" And I said, "Let me ask you a question." Because I told him, I said, "No, I'm not gay." I said, let me ask you a question. I go, "What do you do for a living?" "Well, I work construction." I said, "Okay." I go, "So you work with all men, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "I work with all women. I get to pick of who I want to be with, essentially, not being arrogant,
Right.
but the opportunities are there as a male in a woman's profession. There's all kinds of women all the time, okay?" I said, "So you tell me who's gay. You work with all men." And he looked and he was like, "Man, I never thought of it like that." But there you are. It's so funny because it's like literally, the opportunities as a male nurse with the ladies that you work with, they're there. I'll just put it like that. They're there.
You know what? It's funny because I have to admit, when I was younger, if a guy told me he was a nurse, I'm like, man, you couldn't have picked a worse profession. And then I got to know a couple firemen who were nurses, and EMTs actually. Well, one EMT, he was going to nursing school when I was an EMT 20 years ago, and they were like, "Oh man, the money is good," and they go, they said the helping aspect, like you said, they said management doesn't give a shit about you. He says, but you're able to help, and he said, and he goes back to the money. He's like, and the money's great. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He said, you should try it. I go, no. I said, I don't want to be on my feet for what is it, 16, 24 hours straight. Like, I'm out on that. I'm not a people person, clearly, right? So you have to have bedside manners. I don't have those. So, but I said, listen, you get a better understanding when you talk to people who are in that profession. People like with the whole fire department thing. People like, "You're a fireman?" And I go, "Yeah." They go, and then the next thing, especially around here, the next thing out of their mouth is, how do they treat you there? I'm like, who treat me? The white guys. I'm like, oh. man, they make me sleep in the basement. They throw the food on the floor. I eat off the ground. I said, it's bad. I have to run behind the rig when we go on a run. And only one person was stupid enough to believe it. Really? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? No, it's fucking, this is like almost 10 years ago, actually. I was like, no, man, it's like fucking, it's 2011. I said, this shit don't happen anymore. I mean, listen,
Right.
racism is everywhere, yes, but not to the degree of people outside seem to think that, we're still in whips and chains and shit. I'm like, it's not that bad, But it's just interesting. Then when you talk to somebody on the job, they were like, I'm like, yo, I said, it is what it is. You run into your assholes, you run into your good dudes. That's what it is. You got that everywhere. The fire department is not this. The way one female firefighter put it, she's like, it's the last stronghold of the white man or some bullshit like that. I'm like, really, lady? I said, it's not even that bad anymore. To me personally, the fire department or being a firefighter is by far the greatest job on this planet, and I wouldn't trade it for fucking nothing. If I died tomorrow in a fire, I'd still think the same way.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like with nursing, I have patients that I've had through the years, how profoundly they've changed my life. Unbelievable. I've taken care of some just wonderful, wonderful people. And, it's funny because it's like I come out of the service, I was working, worked as a short order cook, did some different stuff. I have 7 tattoos, I have a shaved head, the whole 9 yards. And my cousin had said to me, he was a nurse. And he was like, Ed, why don't you try nursing? And at first, my initial reaction was like, no way, not happening. No, why would I? He goes, I think you would be really good at it. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. I started out as a CNA. I was in my early 20s. And I knew instantly, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, the burnout rate in nursing is so high. Most people don't last as long as I did in nursing. Yeah. They don't. No, 10 years if they're lucky. 10 years is generally if they last that long. CNAs, they burn CNAs out, working them 16-hour shifts, back to back to back. It's ridiculous what they do to these people. And your CNAs are your backbones of the nursing community. They're the ones that spend more time with your patients than anybody else. I used to always tell my CNAs, I used to say, listen, you know these people better than I do. If you see a change in somebody, let me know. Because then I'm going to go in and I'm going to assess the situation. And if I see that there's something wrong, then I call the supervisor, But they're going to see that change way before I would, because my focus was treatments, medication, and that type of stuff, and dealing with whatever situations come up. And, so that was a big part of it. But once you realize, if you worked as a CNA first and then became a nurse, you treated your CNAs much better. I see nurses that never were a CNA that treated their aides like they were crap. Really? And you can't, because, first of all, we're all human beings. Just because my title says LPN or RN or whatever the case may be, does that make me better than the CNA? No. I make more money than them because I went to school, but that's about the only difference. I'm going to tell you what, I've wiped so much butt in my day, I couldn't even tell you. But that's part of the job. Right. If you go into nursing thinking you're not going to get your hands dirty, then that's not the profession you want to be in, I remember I was in nursing school, and there was one girl that was there, and she was like, oh no, I'm never working in a nursing home. She goes, I just want to work in a doctor's office. And that was her goal, was to work in a doctor's office. But to me, I look at everything as a learning opportunity. And different things that I've learned through the years, because of firsthand being there, seeing it, and being up to your elbows and crap and everything else, that's how you learn. And, sitting in a doctor's office, taking people's temperatures and their blood pressure and seeing how much they weigh, that ain't giving you any kind of experience.
It's funny. You talked about your hands being up to shit, up to your elbows and shit. And I remember thinking, when I became an EMT, I did not want to be an EMT. I remember thinking, because I had to be an EMT to be a fireman. And I said, I'm going to do this shit. I got to fucking, drive in an ambulance. So anyway, I listen, taking accountability for your action and what you want to do in life. I bought books, I bought flashcards to be an EMT. I didn't know nothing about the human body other than that, you know, head, hands, feet, torso, legs. That's it, right? So then I get all of this shit. I learned how to, listen, be an EMT. I learned all the terminologies before I went into the school. So then I remember that show, Third Watch?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I watched that show to get me hyped to be an EMT. That's how bad I didn't want to be an EMT. So I watched this show. I fucking, I'm watching, I'm like, oh man, this shit is awesome. Look at all the shit they do. I become an EMT, and what happens? I'm taking old people to the hospital, drunks to the hospital. Both of them are shitting on themselves. And I'm like, didn't sign up for this. But I remember the one time, and this, it was a moment of clarity. I remember the one time, elderly lady, she went on herself. I remember her being embarrassed, and I remember saying, and this is the part or the time where I'm supposed to just help her as best as I can. Now I'm not doing what you're doing, right? Because I know that there's limitations on what we do,
Right.
but covering her up and telling her, listen, it's okay. I almost said shit happens, and I said it happens, and she goes, yeah. I said, ma'am, it's all right. I said, and I made up a story. I'm like, my son's still shitting himself, so it's fine. And I was trying to make light of the situation, but I remember that moment when people do that. That's obviously a reason. It's
Right.
a reason that they're sick, they couldn't control it, and you get it. Then you get the animals, the people who just shit themselves because they want you to stay away from them. Those are crazy people. I'm like, he did what?
Yeah.
Like he shit himself so we wouldn't touch him, and I'm supposed to touch him now. There's a cop telling us this shit.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
but it's just interesting, man. You nurses, you guys get your asses handed to you, and listen, with this COVID, nurses got their asses handed to them. I mean,
Absolutely.
straight up and down. And you have to respect it. Whether you think COVID is fake or real, doesn't matter. Nurses still had to deal with people dying. They still had
And a lot of nurses died too. A lot of nurses died.
from COVID,
Yes.
right? And then on top of that, you had nurses who committed suicide. You
Yeah.
know, right?
Yep.
And so it was just an all around shit fest for everyone. And I gave it to nurses, man. And that they did that thing in the city. What was it? 6 o'clock at 1800 hours. The city was banging on pots and clapping for the nurses and doctors around the city.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was by far the coolest thing I've ever seen the city do. I don't like New Yorkers. I don't like these liberal pricks. But that was the coolest things I ever seen the city come together and do. That was very impressive. But let's see. All right, guys. So I think we're going to end it tonight, unless Ed, you want to talk about anything
No, I'm
else.
good. We can go ahead and end it.
Roger that. All right, guys. Listen, this was a good night, a good combo. I enjoyed it again. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I am definitely putting you on the spot on this one. But on the Angry Truth channel, would you be interested in going on there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. Anybody, like I said, it's like I have no problem doing that at all. So.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, good, no, because it's a more political based channel. So as long as want to let your hair down, no pun intended,
Right. Right.
then that's great. That's great. So cool. All right, guys. Listen. Other than that, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for joining the membership club, guys. For those of you that did, we do appreciate it. I appreciate it. Ed, thank you for joining us tonight. Actually, you didn't have
Well,
to.
thanks. I appreciate you having me on, giving me like a chance to actually get on and talk to people because it's a weird feeling, with them giving me that spanking so that I can't do anything until Sunday. But I'm going to be back. I'm going to take this as a learning lesson that it is, and realize that I got to be a lot more careful because I don't want to be not on YouTube. I mean, it's I've been doing this for a long time and I enjoy doing it, and I get to reach a lot of people and hopefully make an influence, a positive influence, on a lot of people's lives. And I got so many things that I'm going to be doing here at the homestead this year, and I think that's going to be fun for people to watch as well. So, looking forward to doing all that as well.
Very good. Thank you for that. And ADK man, listen, thank you for your service. You're fire chief for 30 years. Thank you. He repeated that like a couple times. I want to address it. Again, thank you for your service. And ladies and gentlemen, good night.